And at this time, I would like to recognize the representative from the state of Washington, Ms. Randall, for 5 minutes. Ms. Randall.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair, and thank you to our witnesses here to testify. This is a new policy area for me, and I've been very interested in learning about the challenges in both fighting corruption, but also supporting the liberty and sovereignty of the Puerto Rican people. But would like to yield the balance of my time to the resident commissioner from Puerto Rico to complete some questions he has.
Thank you, my dear colleague, Randall. Mr. Mujica, let's talk about things that Congress can do to help Puerto Rico's financial stability. Would it be good for Puerto Rico for Congress to approve a new tax incentive for manufacturing to bring back manufacturing to the island?
I can say, and I think you mentioned this in an earlier part, the loss of 936 contributed significantly to the economic decline that has happened since then over 20 years. There's been some blips in between, but you can see a clear path that the economic decline is tied to that incentive, and that incentive also brought tremendous economic growth. So, I'd leave it up to Congress as what to decide, but I can tell you that that incentive and the loss of that incentive severely impacted the economy of Puerto Rico and led to some of the actions that led to the bankruptcy.
And for the benefit of my colleagues, there is bipartisan legislation for a new tax incentive that would focus on supply chain resiliency by giving incentives for companies that relocate from foreign countries to Puerto Rico, and this would help the country as a whole. And brief history lesson, 936 was a great incentive for Puerto Rico, was a great incentive for the United States, and the reason it was eliminated was because the resident commissioner at the time believed it was incompatible with statehood for Puerto Rico because the requirements of the uniformity clause. So it's important that we don't let status politics meddle with Puerto Rico's economic development, and I'm sure that that's something where we can find common ground. Would it be useful or positive for Puerto Rico to get equal treatment in federal programs like Medicaid, Medicare, and SNAP?
So all of the territories are treated differently in some of these programs, and we've advocated for the SNAP program. I believe there was some bipartisan support for changing that program that would result in more funding. There is an issue that's realistic with regard to the taxing situation that affects it, and I know that that's something that's been discussed. But we need certainty with regard to the Medicaid program. The fact that it expires and there's a cliff prevents long-term budget planning in Puerto Rico.
Thank you. And I'm sorry to interrupt. It's just because of the limited time. And that's another area where there's opportunity for bipartisan collaboration. The Medicaid extension is supported by Governor Gonzalez Colon, fair treatment in Medicare Advantage as well, and the transition to SNAP as well. So I think that's an area where we can work together to benefit Puerto Rico and the nation more broadly. Mr. Mujica, last week, the board voided a 15-year, multi-billion-dollar LNG contract between the government and New Fortress Energy. In your opinion, or in the board's opinion, was that deal rushed through a non-competitive process?
We haven't voided it. We're still reviewing it. Do I think the deal is rushed? Yes. We need time to evaluate it. We're speaking to the people who negotiated the contract, and we have not found anyone yet who defends all the terms of that deal. That is where we are right now.
And just for time's sake, can you answer yes or no questions, the following ones? Does that contract hand one company near monopoly power over Puerto Rico's LNG supply?
That contract does provide exclusivity for all of the PREPA, for all of any additional LNG supply.
Thank you. Was it written so one-sided that it favored New Fortress over the people of Puerto Rico?
It seems to be a one-sided contract, and based on what the people who negotiated the contract told us, these were the terms that were given to them, and there was almost no flexibility in negotiating those terms.
And do you think that a fair, transparent process would have delivered lower costs and more flexibility for our energy future?
We think there are probably better terms that we can work out with that contract, and we're working on those.
And who would you consider the party primarily responsible for negotiating this bad contract for the people of Puerto Rico?
Our understanding is the negotiation happened through an organization called the 3PPO, is the entity that negotiates these contracts.
On behalf of the government of Puerto Rico, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm almost out of time. There are concerns over the board's striking down contracts for renewable energy, that has slowed down Puerto Rico's energy reconstruction. I share a lot of those concerns as well as the ones related to net metering. I see that I'm out of time, but I wanted to state that for the record, and I'd like to submit questions for the record in writing for later on.
Certainly, without objection. The gentleman's yielded time has expired. The